And in the debate, your job is to argue either it's true or false. And there are lots of ways that you can do that. So we need to go into a little bit about how to make an argument and what an argument is. So this is a little bit like there's some overlap with logic here, because a proposition is something we use in propositional logic. Arguments are things we use in that too. And if you have questions about that, or if you want to learn more about basics of logic, I recommend you check out Cool Dog's Introduction to Logic. You can find it in the archives, I believe. They're really great classes, and they're going to be able to teach you much more about the basics of logic. I just want to get what we need for the class down on the table. So we have a proposition, which is a true or false statement. The proposition for the debate is basically going to be like the conclusion of your argument. And an argument is a series of premises that you have that lead to a conclusion, which is, in the debate, the proposition, either the negation or the affirmation. So when we talk about the premises, you might hear some people in a debate say, your claim was this. And basically, when they say the word claim, they're saying premise, meaning this thing that you're stating as true, your premise, and they'll discuss that. And so I think probably the first place to start in a debate is constructing your argument. So if you know what the proposition is beforehand, hopefully that's the case in our server, because we try to make sure the proposition is clear and that you all agree on it. So if you know what the proposition is before you even enter the debate, I recommend you sit down and construct your own argument. And I think the easiest way to do that is to work backwards. So you'll have a proposition like it's wrong to it's wrong for the government to mandate everyone wears seatbelts. Okay, now you have to tell us why. So then you would have a series of premises that would go to make that argument. And you could have something like seatbelts violate your freedoms, and the government doesn't have the right to violate your freedoms without good reasons. There are no good reasons for the government to mandate we wear seatbelts. Therefore, the government has no right to make us wear seatbelts. And as you see, there are sort of 4 things there on the table. And each one of them, except the conclusion, we could call a claim. Now, as you construct your argument, it's really important to know how those claims are going to be attacked. And as you're discussing in the debate, it's really important to know what claim is being debated and why. So in addition to constructing your argument, I recommend you think about all the ways that each one of these claims can be attacked by your opponent. So I didn't write down the seatbelt thing. I just sort of made it up, so I might forget the premises. But say the one that the government has no good reasons to make it illegal not to wear a seatbelt. Well, we can think about good reasons why that would be the case. And if you're trying to say that that proposition is true, you should have an answer for all the reasons someone else is going to come up with. It's impossible to think of every reason. Of course, someone's going to probably bring up something you hadn't considered in the debate. That's totally fine. Do the best you can. But what's really key here is just understanding what claim is on the table and what claim is going to be discussed. Does anyone have any questions about your own preparation for the debate? Okay, I'll take that as a no. So just a little recap. Start with the proposition. That's going to be a true or false statement. That's going to be the topic of the debate. Work backwards from there. Build your argument to that proposition. And then look at all of the premises in your argument. Sometimes people will call that a claim. And think about how those can be attacked. And that's going to give you a lot of preparation for the debate right there. Now, if you're going to be attacking your opponent, it's very important to know where you disagree. In the same way that you constructed your own argument, you should try and construct your opponent's argument. So your opponent will come in and they'll say that they'll do the opposite of the seatbelt, that the government has a right. And their premises might be the same as yours, but they just take the negation of your premises. And if that's the case, you've already done a lot of the work because you did research on how to fight negations of your premise or rebuttals, things like that. And what's really key is knowing exactly where you disagree, because that's what the crux of the entire debate is going to be. So as a general rule, always know what claim is on the table, what's being discussed, and know precisely where you disagree. And once you know where that is, you're going to be making smaller arguments inside of that to try and prove your point, to try and prove why one of these premises is true or not. So that's the first part. Always know what claim is on the table and know exactly how you disagree and what claims you're disagreeing with. So with that being said, I'd like now to listen to what Trump said in this debate to start. And all we're going to do, we're not going to argue with Trump or say he's right or wrong. We're just simply going to pick out his claims. So Stone, if you don't mind playing the third presidential debate highlights.
Sure. Just tell me when to hit pause.
Okay. And everyone, please watch the stream so you can see what's being played.
Yeah, for everyone here, I'm sharing my screen, so that's where the video is being played. But okay, cool. Here it goes.
His fitness to be president of the United States. Mr. Trump, at the last debate, you said your talk about grabbing women was just that, talk, and that you'd never actually done it. And since then, as we all know, 9 women have come forward and said that you either groped them or kissed them without their consent. Why would so many different women from so many different circumstances over so many different years, why would they all in this last couple of weeks make up, you deny this, why would they all make up these stories? And since this is a question for both of you, Secretary Clinton, Mr. Trump says what your husband did and that you defended was even worse. Mr. Trump, you go first.
Well, first of all, those stories have been largely debunked. Those people, I don't know those people. I have a feeling how they came. I believe it was her campaign that did it. Just like if you look at what came out today on the clips, where I was wondering what happened with my rally in Chicago and other rallies where we had such violence. She's the one in Obama that caused the violence. They hired people, they paid them $1,500, and they're on tape saying, be violent, cause fights, do bad things. I would say the only way, because those stories are all totally false, I have to say that. And I didn't even apologize to my wife, who's sitting right here, because I didn't do anything. I didn't know any of these women. I didn't see these women. These women, the woman on the plane, the woman, I think they want either fame or her campaign did it. And I think it's her campaign, because when I saw what they did, which is a criminal act, by the way, where they're telling people to go out and start fistfights and start violence. And I'll tell you what, in particular in Chicago, people were hurt and people could have been killed in that riot. And that was now all on tape, started by her. I believe, Chris, that she got these people to step forward. If it wasn't, they get their 10 minutes of fame. But they were all totally, it was all fiction. It was lies and it was fiction.
Pause.
Well, Secretary Clinton.
Okay, so there was a lot there that Trump just said. And now what I would like some of you to do is just name some claims that Trump threw out there, something that Trump stated as if it was true. And we're not going to debate these claims. We're just trying to pick out what Trump said and what Trump is saying is true.
Yeah, well, he said that the Obama and Hillary campaign put forward violent protesters in his rallies.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. He said Hillary Clinton's campaign hired people to go
Or
to
he
his
said it was
rallies and
likely.
be violent. Yeah, yeah. He said it was likely. He said he hired them and put them in there. What's another claim that Trump made in that little part of the debate?
I mean, I can keep talking.
Yeah, yeah, sure. It's open. So that's
I
one
just
that's
want to
one
give other
claim.
people a chance, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. That's really kind of you.
Well, the other claim was that the women coming forward to him, he's never seen before. The
That's
women
right.
claiming that you know, that they were groped, he's never seen them.
Yeah, exactly. He said, I don't know these people. I've never seen them. I don't know them. I've never seen them. So right there, if he doesn't know them and he doesn't see them, then there's no way he could sexually assault them, right?
Yeah.
Are there any other claims he made?
I don't remember what the first claim that Ayuda pointed out, but I know he said that she was the one that, well, at least he believes that she's the one that put the women up to making those claims, and also the second thing would be she told people to go out and do violent acts.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I would have mentioned the second one you said, Stone, but the first one hasn't been brought up yet, which is she told the people to make these rumors. Um, Trump said all of these claims. There's um, there's one other one that he mentioned a few times.
Do you want to say it?
I was just curious if anyone else noticed it. It's what he started with.
I forget personally, but if somebody else has the answer, I would.
It's really small. It's the kind of thing that might not even come across as like a claim. But he said these stories have been debunked, which is a claim saying that like they've been disproven.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we have a series of claims he made. One that I'm going to try and remember the order that they came up just now. One that her campaign hired people to be violent at his rallies. Another one that he didn't know the people there, the people that were coming up with these rumors. Another one that Hillary put these people up to create the rumors and lie about it. And the other one being that these stories were debunked and they were all false. And I don't know if you all noticed this, but he repeated some of those claims a few times. Like the stories being false, he repeated a few times. He said it another way, which is it's all fiction. Um, the stories are totally false. So that claim that they were debunked or false in some way came up 3 times. I don't know them. That came up. Let's see. 1, 2. Yeah, 2 times. I don't know the women. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but do you remember when he said, I didn't apologize to my wife?
Excuse me. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. So he said, I didn't apologize to my wife because I didn't know them and there was no reason to apologize. So that's repeating that claim again. He repeated her campaign started the rumors. He repeated the hiring the people twice. So, in that long section, there were like 4 claims or so, and he repeated them in different ways. That was a great job. You guys did a great job picking out the claims. Now, do you remember the question that the person asked him?
Yeah, that was about how does he defend these 9 people that came forward that are claiming that seemingly don't know each other, that came forward to say that they were groped or kissed unwillingly by them.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
There's more to the question than that, but that was, I mean,
Sure.
basically, this is what I got out of it.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. I think that's like what the main question is getting at. Like, how do you respond to all these people who are accusing you of sexually assaulting people? Like, there are 9 of them. That's a lot, dude. How do you respond to that? And so, of those claims, I don't know them. Hillary's campaign hired people to be violent at my rallies. Hillary's campaign hired people to make up these claims about my sexual assault. and these stories are totally false. Of those four, which one do you think is Trump's strongest response to that question?
By strongest, do you mean like relevant?
Yeah, most relevant, or yeah, applies directly to the question, or maybe gives you the most doubt about him being a sexual assaulter, something like that.
Probably that Hillary put them up to it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Hillary put the rumors up to it. Okay. What are some others? If you had to pick a second one, what would you pick?
I'm sorry. Is this class being recorded?
Well, all of this is hypothetical. I don't know if it is, but it's all hypothetical. So
No, I'm saying, is this class being recorded?
oh, yeah, I'm not sure. Stone, is it
Yeah.
being recorded?
Yeah, I'm recording it.
Okay. Is my name involved in the recording? Sorry, I'm breaking the fourth wall.
Just your, no, it's no worries, and just your screen name. And if you are uncomfortable with being on recording, though, I can just delete the recording. It's no big
No,
deal.
I wouldn't want you to delete the recording. That would be, yeah. I mean, you're probably doing this for the promotion of this channel as well, right? And YouTube to to get potential money from YouTube, maybe. I would assume, at least.
Yeah, but I don't think, like, you know, answering the question, I mean, I'm kind of assuming here that maybe you're a little worried about people hearing what you're.
Yeah, I don't like my points of view, because my points of view could be
Misconstrued. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So
I
in
gotta
this
keep that.
hypothetical, right? So in this hypothetical, like, it's all pretend right now. Like, these don't necessarily represent people's actual views. These are just like the claims that we're saying are strongest for Trump's argument, and we're kind of just granting that we're not like debating Trump in this. We're just trying to pick out his claims and which ones are strong as a response out of those claims.
Right. I'd say the other strongest claim is that everything was debunked.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I agree with you. I think those two claims are probably the strongest answers to the argument. One is they're just wrong. These are false. They've been debunked. And the other one is that Hillary's campaign hired these people to make these rumors. And of course, like, we can unpack that a little bit, like what makes it strong. There's a big context here. We know it's a political race. There are notions of politicians being a little slimy and corrupt and being willing to say anything to try and get ahead. Of course, you know, all these things. But I think those two are the strongest. Which one do you think was the weakest?
I mean, it depends on who you ask, but if you ask me, it's
True.
how he said he didn't say sorry to his wife, but I know plenty of people that would take that with a high degree of, respect, or think that would be the most truthful claim that he made.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you there. I thought, for me, that was the weakest one too. It was like, I don't care about your wife. Like, that doesn't answer this question, you know? Like, of course, like, maybe there's a virtue there. Like, that's a different thing. So
Yeah.
I think that's great. So out of all those things, like, if you were debating Trump, what we just did, that exercise we just did, would be really helpful to know how to respond. Because if you were going to try and debate against him and say that all of this stuff is wrong, you would want to show that these stories aren't fictions and to show how they're not fictions. And you'd also want to address the claim that the campaign didn't do anything about it. You don't really need to address the claim about him apologizing to his wife. It's not really important to the question at hand. So this is part of what I meant early on when I said it's really important to know what claim is on the table. And the question is about, you're being accused of sexual assault. How do you respond to the accusations? And so we went through all the arguments he gave against it, and we brought out which ones are important. So if you were to attack Trump, you would want to attack the ones that are most relevant to his argument and the ones you disagree with. So now we're going to do the same exercise, but this time with Hillary Clinton. So Stone, if you don't mind playing from where we left off.
At the last debate, we heard Donald talking about what he did to women. And after that, a number of women have come forward saying that's exactly what he did to them. Now, what was his response? Well, he held a number of big rallies where he said that he could not possibly have done those things to those women because they were not attractive enough for
I did not
them
say
to be
that.
assaulted.
I did not say that.
In fact, he went on to say,
Her 2 minutes, sir, her 2 minutes.
But did not say that.
It's her 2 minutes.
he went on to say, look at her. I don't think so. About another woman, he said, that wouldn't be my first choice. He attacked the woman reporter writing the story, called her disgusting, as he has called a number of women during this campaign. You know, Donald thinks belittling women makes him bigger. He goes after their dignity, their self-worth, and I don't think there is a woman anywhere who doesn't know what that feels like. So we now know what Donald thinks and what he says and how he acts toward women. That's who Donald is. I think it's really up to all of us to demonstrate who we are and who our country is, and to stand up and be very clear about what we expect from our next president, how we want to bring our country together, where we don't want to have the kind of pitting of people one against the other, where instead we celebrate our diversity, we lift people up, and we make our country even greater. America is great because America is good. And it really is up to all of us to make that true now and in the future, and particularly for our children and our grandchildren.
Mr. Trump.
Pause.
Nobody.
Okay, so also there was a lot there from Hillary as well. I just want to write down the last claim I picked up. Okay, so we're going to do the same exercise we did with Trump. We're going to go through and talk about the claims Hillary made. So mention some claims that she brought up.
So I just want to preface this by the fact that she used emotional arguments 3/4 through her 2 minutes, 3/4 of the way through her 2 minutes. It was
I actually,
mainly all emotional.
I agree with you. At the end, she was making a lot of appeals to our emotions. Like, as a country, we should have expectations. We should think about what's good. America is great because it's good. Blah blah blah. There were these appeals about oughts and expectations, and I could see that being kind of pointing to something abstract. It's a little harder, maybe not as concrete. Can be more emotional. I think that's a big part of her claims too.
Yeah, I'd say she made less claims than Trump did, but she did make claims in the first, 2 minutes, 60 seconds, 120 seconds. So in the first 30 seconds or so, she made the first 20 seconds, she made like 2 or 3 claims. But beyond that, it's like women know how it feels to be degraded, and all Trump does is degrade women.
Yeah, that's one claim. She said women know how it feels to be degraded, and I can't remember what else she said, but basically like the treatment that men give women, like women know this. Okay, that was one claim. What's another claim she made?
That at his rallies, he was saying that the women that are accusing him of molesting them weren't attractive enough, so that's why he wouldn't have done it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. She said Trump said, "Oh, these aren't attractive enough. Look at her. I don't think so." Yeah, that's another claim that she said Trump said. What are some others?
Belittling women makes him feel bigger, or I'm not sure if that was the exact word.
Yeah, that's what she said. Donald thinks belittling women makes him bigger. That one was the one that made me chuckle the most when I heard it. I was like, whoa. Yeah, that's a claim that
it's
she
still
made.
An appeal
right?
to an emotion, though.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
I mean, I'd say she makes less claims and appeals to emotions more. So,
well, just so it's clear, just so what I mean by claim is just something someone is saying is true. So, like an emotional appeal would be a claim too, and we can say like she's appealing to emotions and making a claim based on emotions. But that's a claim she's stating is true. Like Donald thinks belittling women makes him feel bigger.
Right, but what does that mean?
Well, yeah, that exactly. But for this class, I kind of just want to focus on the claims that were made and how they relate to the arguments, rather than saying that her claims are like automatically false, or Trump's for that matter too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't do well with people appealing to emotion. I find it
Yeah,
disgusting.
fair enough. So yeah, we've got 3 of the claims there. I think a lot of the other claims were really similar. Alda, you also mentioned at the beginning, like, she was appealing to these emotions. At the end, like, the emotion of what it means to be American, the expectations about America. And I'll just go through some of those claims. We know who we are. We need to stand up. That's one she said. Another one was, we should have expectations for our country. And then she listed what some of those expectations should be.
Like what?
And then I can't remember. They went by so quickly, I didn't write them down. And then she said, make our country even greater. That claim I found really important as well. It was such a short line, but as we all know, Trump's campaign slogan was "Make America Great Again." So that claim had this additional sort of meta narrative of trying to be like a snipe at Donald Trump's overall campaign, which I bring up because even though these little claims are making her argument in this small area as a response to the allegations that Trump had, she's also still arguing for the overall proposition of the debate, which is who should be the best president. And she's appealing to this emotion that America is already great, blah, blah, blah. So just a little bonus there. It's not crucial for this section. And the last one is, America is great because America is good. That was another claim she made. So from these claims, these premises, which ones do you think answered the question the most? And I don't know if you remember the question that the journalist posited to her, but Trump said that what Bill Clinton did was just as bad, if not worse, than what Trump did, and that Hillary supported that and was bad. So he asked Hillary to respond to that. So in all of those claims, did Hillary answer the question given by the journalist?
I didn't see her answer the question. No.
Yeah, I don't think she answered that question about how she handled Monica Lewinsky and her husband's affairs. She didn't address it in any of those claims that I saw. As far as what Trump was asked, what claims did Hillary make that addressed what Trump said? Like, were the strongest arguments against what Trump said?
If I could remember.
So I can.
Yeah, you want to remind me the first couple claims she made? Because it was.
Yeah, sure. She said, in a debate, Donald mentioned what he did to women. Many women came forward after that. He responded at rallies by saying they weren't attractive enough. Look at her, I don't think so. He attacked a reporter who was writing on it, calling her disgusting. Donald thinks belittling women makes him bigger.
Right. So from all that, she didn't even respond to what Trump said. She just basically sorry, I haven't eaten any food in like, I don't know, like 5 hours, so I'm kind of running low on energy.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
It didn't seem like she really responded to many of his claims either. She just, like I said, said that more broadly women feel bad, and she actually helped out Donald's claims by saying that, Donald said he wouldn't even touch that woman because she's too ugly. So I mean, that kind of was
yeah. That's an important point. So even if someone disagrees with what Trump said and agrees with what Hillary said, she did reinforce his claim in her claim. Because if you believe Trump when he says that, and she's quoting Trump saying that, you're just reinforcing his claim. So she didn't really make an argument explicitly about that, other than to say Trump said this. Trump said that Oh, I don't think so. She's not attractive enough.
Yeah, and that reinforces Trump's claim.
Right. Even if it's like really gross. But
Yeah, exactly.
what she did say after that was that women are belittled and women know what it feels like to have these things said about them. And so there's this implicit claim that wasn't made clear by Hillary Clinton that women are treated as objects. This is a repeating pattern. Trump is doing this repeating pattern. So when Trump makes these statements, we should not believe him. But that's a lot of information that the person has to add based on what she said. And so it's important to bring this up because when you're debating someone on a proposition, that's going to happen. Someone is going to have these hidden premises that are going up there, and they're really hard to find. But as long as you know what claim is on the table, what claim is being discussed, what premise is there, you can think about what other things have to be true in order for that one to be true. And then the hidden premises can be found in that way. Just something to think about. I don't think I had anything else. Other than to say, I think her strongest response was like her just saying, he said these things and women have been treated this way. So, you know, he's shown us what kind of person he is, et cetera, et cetera. And then she made these appeals about other things. And she did not answer the question that was asked of her. So do you guys want to keep watching this Hillary Clinton debate, or do you want to go to a different video and look at the claims that come up there?
What's the other video?
One is Candace Owens at an event. And then another one is a debate on God. And between Bertrand Russell, a philosopher, and a theologian. And that one's like a really technical kind of debate. But I was hoping to save that one for the end. The other one I have is Sam Harris versus Jordan Peterson.
I mean, do you just want to finish this debate out, then go to the next one, whatever one that you choose?
Yeah, maybe let's listen. Let's listen to what Trump says in response, and then we can listen to what Hillary says in response. And we can do the same exercise. Pick out the claims.
Nobody has more respect
Stone, if you
for
don't...
women than I do. Nobody. Nobody has more respect.
Please, everybody.
And frankly, those stories have been largely debunked. And I really want to just talk about something slightly different. She mentions this, which is all fiction, all fictionalized, probably or possibly started by her and her very sleazy campaign. But I will tell you, what isn't fictionalized are her emails, where she destroyed 33,000 emails criminally, after getting a subpoena from the United States Congress. What happened to the FBI? I don't know. We have a great general, four-star general, today, you read it in all the papers, going to potentially serve 5 years in jail for lying to the FBI. One lie. She's lied hundreds of times to the people, to Congress, and to the FBI. He's going to probably go to jail. This is a four-star general, and she gets away with it, and she can run for the presidency of the United States. That's really what you should be talking about, not fiction, where somebody wants fame or where they come out of her crooked campaign.
Secretary Clinton.
Well, every time
Okay,
Donald
pause.
is pushed on.
Stone, pause. Thanks. Okay, so more claims. And let's do the same exercise. Let's go through and let's just list the claims that Trump made in that little segment. What's one claim that he made?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you trying to talk, Mikhail? Because I can't hear you now.
Hello?
Oh, hi.
Hey, sorry. Yeah, I have a very weak signal. First
That's okay.
claim that he made was that she deleted several email messages.
Yeah, she
30,000.
deleted a bunch of emails. What's another one?
That she lied about it.
She lied about it. What's another one?
Someone else can help me out here. Kind of forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the four-star general lied one time, he got in prison, and then Hillary lied hundreds of times, and she hasn't went to prison, and she can run
That's
for
right.
president.
That's right. We have a 4-star general who's going to jail for 5 years for lying. She's lied hundreds of times. And then the follow-up after that is a 4-star general goes to jail, but she can run for president, and that's wrong. So in that one, he actually made an argument. Like I mentioned earlier in the beginning, an argument is you have premises and a conclusion. He made an argument here. He said, a 4-star general is going to jail for lying. She's lied hundreds of times. A 4-star general goes to jail, but she can run for president. That's wrong. So we have a sequence of events there. So not only is he making claims, but he's making an argument in his claims, putting them together, trying to infer what's going to happen. What's another one that he made? There was one really funny one.
No one has more respect for women than I do.
Yes, the very first thing he started with. Nobody has more respect for women than I do. I thought that was a little bit.
Well,
humorous.
and they had to tell the audience to not laugh.
Right? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Did they actually?
Yeah.
At the beginning of that, he says no one has more respect for women than I do, and then you hear the moderator say, "Let him speak," basically.
Yeah, people, please.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
obviously
so-
that's a baseless claim, but at the same time, when his character is being attacked,
Right.
ultimately he has to defend it. Ultimately, it's an ultimatum.
Yeah,
right?
I don't fault him for wanting to, to say that. What's sort of funny about it is it's like, it's a claim that can't really be proven. Like it may be the case that he has respect for women, but to say he has more respect than any other person on the planet, like it's a little hard for any person to make that claim.
Absolutely, but I think
yeah.
the reason he made that claim was that Hillary Clinton made the ultimate choice to say that he has virtually no respect for women. And then Donald, it was black and white. So then Donald's like, I have the most respect for women. So it's
yeah.
like
He's responding to her attacking his character and not respecting the dignity of women.
Yeah,
and stuff,
I think the issue is that I don't think that's necessarily the best claim. I don't think that's the best way to respond to that claim.
No,
which is what I think
of
people.
Of course.
I'm
but
sure
I mean, there are lots of things.
I think that got under Trump's skin.
Sure, yeah. I mean, all of these claims and stuff, like there are some that we could say are true and some that we could say are false, and we could debate them and we can say what they did well and what they didn't. But for the sake of this exercise, I just want us to find the claims and then see how these claims are supporting their arguments and responses. So in the overall topic of the conversation, this is about the accusations that Trump sexually assaulted people. And of these claims, which ones are responding directly to there's one I forgot to mention. He repeated claims he made earlier, which is the allegations are all a fiction and they're all mentioned by her. So he's repeating the rumor that she started it, etc. So of these claims that Trump went through, which ones actually support the overall claim on the table, which is the allegations that Trump sexually assaulted people? Which one are his strongest arguments against that? From this little section.
So I would probably can you go over the third claim again? I think that's where
yeah, it's all a fiction mentioned by her.
that would be, I mean, like I said, I'm kind of breaking down right now because I got to eat.
You're doing great, Alda. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, aside from saying they were fiction, he did say at the very beginning of that clip that again, these have been debunked. So if we're just going by strength in terms of relevance, then probably that, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's the only one that really is relevant to the overall question in this part of the debate about his allegations. And to Trump's credit, he said, I'm going to talk about something different, unrelated. And then he said, what isn't a fiction is Hillary did this stuff. She lied about the emails, blah, 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 blah. But, those claims aren't related to the claim about the allegations, as we've said. So if you're in a debate with someone and someone wants to talk about something else that's off topic and it's not related to the debate, there's no need for you to engage in that part of the debate. Like, if the debate is about the sexual assault allegations, then just bring it back to the sexual assault allegations. Always know what claim is on the table and which one's important for the proposition, and try to guide it back there. This would be an example of not getting bogged down on something that's not related, not derailing, something like that. Even though it could be its own interesting debate and it might be something worth exploring at another time, for the sake of the debate you would be in, always try to bring it back to the overall proposition and the claims on the table.
I would argue that the debate was about Trump's character, and then he brought Hillary's character into question. So
yeah, true. Yeah, there's a relevance there.
Arching, topic was Trump's character was in question, so he brought Hillary's character into question.
Yeah, that is a good point. In a presidential debate, when they're talking about the character for president, it is important to bring up the character of the other person. Okay, yeah, okay. So I misspoke. You're right, Auda. I think there is a relevance in a presidential debate here. But just imagine if it were.
But for
like
specificity, it wasn't very specific because obviously the specific question was, Trump's handling with women, how Trump handles women.
Right. Yeah. Cool. So I think we went through all those claims there, and maybe we could go now to what Hillary says in response to that.
Wait, so just one second.
Yeah.
Good.
It's like having the how AY says a proposition Rolodex, where you're always looking at where you are in the debate and which proposition is on the table in that instant.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're just practicing what propositions people have made, and then trying to see which ones are relevant to the overall debate, etc. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing again as you listen to Hillary Clinton. Try to keep in mind what claims she made. Don't try to debate her claims. Just put them down. Just notice what they are. And Stone, if you don't mind playing it.
Well, every time Donald is pushed on something, which is obviously uncomfortable, like what these women are saying, he immediately goes to denying responsibility. And it's not just about women. He never apologizes or says he's sorry for anything. So we know what he has said and what he's done to women. But he also went after a disabled reporter, mocked and mimicked him on national television. He went after Mr. and Mrs. Khan, the parents of a young man who died serving our country, a Gold Star family because of their religion. He went after John McCain, a prisoner of war, said he prefers people who aren't captured. He went after a federal judge, born in Indiana, but who Donald said couldn't be trusted to try the fraud and racketeering case against Trump University because his parents were Mexican. So it's not one thing. This is a pattern of divisiveness, of a very dark and in many ways dangerous vision of our country, where he incites violence, where he applauds people who are pushing and pulling and punching at his rallies. That is not who America is. And I hope that as we move in the last weeks of this campaign, more and more people will understand what's at stake in this election. It really does come down to what kind of country we are going to have.
So sad when she talks.
Cool. Great. Okay. And I think that's the end of this section. And let's go through the same thing, and let's name the claims that Hillary made.
Yeah, so The second I'm having trouble with this push to talk. He said that, or she said that he's never sorry for anything. He went after a disabled reporter. He went after Mr. and Mrs. Khan, a Gold Star family, because of their religion. He went after John McCain because I forget what the reason for that was. He went after a federal judge because he couldn't be trusted because his parents are Mexican. He has a pattern of divisiveness. He incites violence. He applauds people who punch at his rallies. She claims that this is not what America is, and more people should understand what's at stake during this election.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's most of it.
The
only thing that I got from the beginning that's different is that when Donald Trump is pushed on uncomfortable topics, he denies responsibility, which is related to the apologizing thing. So in this one, she sort of highlighted more of what she said previously. She made more claims about what he's done. Not only has he belittled women, but there's a pattern where he belittles disabled reporters, a Gold Star family because of their faith, John McCain because he prefers war heroes, not people who get captured, the judge who had Mexican heritage. And then she's saying that this is a pattern of divisiveness, it's inciting violence, these qualities are not American, and the American people should decide what kind of country we want. So those were all the claims she made in that section. So out of all of these claims, which one do you think was most relevant to what Trump said in the previous section?
I personally would like to see her elaborate more on these, but I would say that he applauds people who punch at his rallies. So that would be I would assume that would be her strongest claim. Her strongest emotional claim is that this is not what America is. And
nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Probably
cool,
would.
Yeah. So, and maybe what's the weakest claim she made in that section?
He never says sorry for anything.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So what is my response to that?
Yeah, and he denies responsibility. Like, those are baseless.
Yeah, someone could say they're baseless. They're not important necessarily for these other things, but these other claims, like what it means to be American, that is important for a debate about character for the presidency. Okay, so now that we've gone through this whole debate and went through all the claims, the original question on the table was, Donald Trump, you have a bunch of sexual allegations that were given against you, and how does that relate to your character qualifications as president? Hillary, Donald Trump said that you supported your husband's own sexual assaults, and what you did against women was worse than what Trump has done against women. So how do you respond to that for your character as president? So in this section, who do you think responded to the question with more relevant claims versus the other?
I would say Trump, for sure.
Any other thoughts?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hillary didn't even answer the question about how she protected her husband and what she did for women in that section, which, if we were to vote based on answering the question and all of that, I think she would lose points for that. But Hillary made a lot of attacks on Trump's character in the question about the presidential character. So she answered the question in that way. The point of this discussion isn't to say like who won this part of the debate, but just to think about how their claims relate to the question at hand, relate to the overall question of the debate. Cool. So we can do the same exercise again with another debate if you like, or we could move on to just the last two things I kind of want to go into, which is like some of the rhetorical tools you can use in debate and some etiquette stuff. It's up to you all.
I just want to say that I gotta get going because I'm about to eat dinner. So, but it was
okay.
good. I like this class. And this was interesting for sure.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Alda.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So do you guys want to do more picking out claims with a different context? Or do you want to go into some other strategies?
I'll try my best to partake. I am listening, but also kind of busy at the same time, so I'm up for whatever you guys are inclined to.
Well, the last thing is basically going to be kind of like the opening, which was just some general things, some general terms, stuff to kind of be on the lookout for, not really going in depth about it, just some logical fallacies to mention, some tools to use in a debate, and then some stuff on etiquette.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Okay, yeah, we'll
Let's
just
do it.
go over some of these other tools for debate. So when you're in a debate and you have these claims and you're trying to make your arguments, there are some tools that can help you illustrate your point. And probably one of your biggest tools is going to be a reductio. Who's familiar with the idea of a reductio ad absurdum? It's also called an appeal to extremes. Well, go ahead, Stone.
Oh, I don't have like the formal kind of word for word definition, but the way I see it, it's just a reductio is when you take someone's position and point out an absurd scenario that would logically follow from that position.
Yeah, exactly. And do you all know what some of the goals of doing that would be? Like Stone mentioned one, it's absurd. There's one other one for a reductio that can be important.
Well, I could answer, but I'll give other people a chance.
Are we also like putting out the inconsistency, like of the premises?
Yeah. Inconsistency. Another way to put that is a contradiction. So when you run a reductio, sometimes you can get a contradiction, or you get an absurd position that no one would agree with. Something you might hear someone call untenable. And that's kind of the point of a reductio, to just show an absurdity or to show a contradiction. Like someone make a claim, and let's see if we can run a reductio on it.
All cats are blue.
All cats are blue.
Okay, do you want a full argument?
I can do one.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Dunce. I don't know how to make all cats are blue a reductio.
Yeah, like for example, you should absolutely never kill a human.
Okay, that's a good one. You should never kill a human. Okay, what about whenever someone's trying to kill me? Can I kill a human then? Or to run the reductio, you would say like, okay, if someone says you can never kill a human, that means that in cases where someone is killing you, you could never kill them back. Or if there's a Hitler that is trying to kill everyone on the planet, you cannot kill that human. And those would be positions most people would be like, no, yuck.
Yeah, exactly.
What's another example of something?
I don't know that there. I mean, I guess
Lying is bad.
What lying is bad. Lying is bad. Okay. Yeah. So if lying is bad, that means that if the Nazis are coming to your house to take someone that you're protecting in your house to kill them, then you can't lie to them because it's bad. Is lying bad in that case? Some people would say no, lying is justified in that case. So it's pointing out an example where lying wouldn't be bad, and that would be an example of a contradiction.
Yep.
So it sounds like we get the idea of a reductio really easily. Another example is just like hypotheticals, which are similar to reductios. That's also like a really important way to kind of show creativity in the debate, coming up with like really interesting stories to highlight a point. So you can run a reductio and then try and do it in a very creative hypothetical, or like a thought experiment. And something that I do is like, I take thought experiments that philosophers have done, and I just try to apply them in different ways that can maybe suit my argument. So you could try and learn some very common hypotheticals that people use a lot. Like one example is John Rawls' veil of ignorance. Like if you were in a society where everyone had amnesia basically, and you didn't know where you would be in that society, like what class you were, what race you were, anything like that. You're ignorant about that, but you were going to like build the rules for that society. What kind of society would you build? That's one example. Another one's like the trolley problem is a hypothetical. It's a thought experiment that people use. And you can have like a toolkit of all these thought experiments that philosophers used, and you can use them for your own arguments. If you guys want, for one of the classes, we could just go over famous hypotheticals like that, famous thought experiments. Another thing to think about in a debate setting are fallacies and pointing out these fallacies. So this isn't going to be a super in-depth discussion about fallacies. It's just going to be some common ones you're going to run across. Like probably the most common fallacy you'll come across is the straw man fallacy. Do you guys know what a straw man fallacy is?
Do you want us to explain it?
Yeah, I can give an example.
Yeah.
So it's like if I'm in a debate and my claim is oranges are bad for you, and then the opponent's like, wait, you're really saying that vitamin C is bad for you? He's basically telling me what my position is so that it's easier to defeat.
Right, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Another way to think of it is like it's an uncharitable reading of someone's position, or it's a misrepresentation of someone's position, and then attacking that. The vitamin C example is good. It's like, I don't remember what your first claim was, or oranges are bad or something.
Yeah, oranges are unhealthy.
Yeah, oranges are unhealthy. Are you really saying vitamin C is unhealthy? Yeah. In a formal sense, a straw man is where you make an argument doing something like that. But when what Stone highlighted, I'm fine calling that a straw man, because they're attacking an uncharitable view of your position or something you never said and claiming you said it. That kind of thing. So that's a very common one you'll run across.
Yeah, so the only like this is interesting because it does have to be intentional, doesn't it?
I mean, I think technically, yeah. Some people don't realize they're straw manning, in which case I would be like, okay, well, they just don't understand. And
Well, then it wouldn't be a straw man if they don't understand.
Right. Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah. Cool. Any questions about straw man?
Well, isn't it a bad idea to call someone out on a straw man? Because how can you prove intentionality?
Oh, well, yeah, you can't prove intentionality, but you could say that is a straw man of my position. Just to say like that's a misrepresentation of my position.
But saying straw man would involve intent.
Some people would say that. I think like if someone were to say that to me, I would just take it to mean like I'm misrepresenting their view.
I see.
Yeah. Maybe in a technical sense, like for it to be a real straw man, it would need to be an argument and intentional. I think there's a case there. But in an informal sense, like someone just misrepresenting your view, you're going to run across that a lot. Okay. Another fallacy you'll probably run into a lot is the ad hominem. And you're going to run into it not in the way that you think you would. So
you rebut for me.
Oh, sorry. So an ad hom, this is one that I do take to be very specific, because there's a difference between an ad hom and an insult. And the difference is an ad hom is saying that your argument is wrong because of your character, but an insult is just saying you have bad character or something. Like if I were to say you're an idiot, that's not an ad hom, but people will say, hey, quit with the ad homs. That's not an ad hom. You're just insulting. And maybe you shouldn't do that in debate. It's not good etiquette, etc. But that's not an ad hom. It has nothing to do with the argument. It doesn't make your argument invalid to insult someone. But what would make your argument fallacious is if you said, because you're an idiot, your argument about seatbelts is wrong. So that's a common fallacy. So what I recommend when people are insulting, just try to ignore it, unless it is an actual ad hom, in which case point out that that doesn't invalidate the argument.
Well, could you say that they're poisoning the well?
Yeah, you could.
That isn't a fallacy, is it?
Not that I know of. Maybe it is. I think it's just like a rhetorical thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
but at any rate,
I would just say you're just poisoning the well.
Yeah. You're going to run into that a lot in debates. Someone's going to insult you or try to use that as a response to an argument you made. But just knowing the difference between an ad hominem and an insult, you'll be able to know when it is actually addressing your argument and try to bring it back. Always bring it back to the proposition or the claim on the table and how it's relevant, etc. Another one that you're going to run into a lot is appeal to nature, and a related one, a naturalistic fallacy. And these sound identical, but there's a difference there. And I get them mixed up all the time. But an appeal to nature is an argument saying that something is good because it's in nature, but a naturalistic fallacy is saying something is morally good because it is natural. There's a slight difference there. Any questions on the appeal to nature?
Yes. Is it possible for it not to be an appeal to nature when it is appealing to nature? Because I thought that there were cases where if your basis, maybe this is actually about the naturalistic fallacy. I'm not sure, but if
you're right. There are cases if you're making an argument for nature, if you're trying to say, something about ecosystem balances, right? And you're going to say wild animal predation is good because it's healthy for the environment. It's the natural way of things. That wouldn't necessarily be an appeal to nature because the argument is all about nature being healthy and what is good for nature. So when you're making that argument, it's relevant to the claim. So this would be an example of where it would be appropriate. So it's good to point that out. And I think that's what makes it an informal fallacy, because there are some times that it could be true.
Yeah, I see. I think it's also with the naturalistic fallacy where it doesn't always have to be a naturalistic fallacy if you're like a moral naturalist or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, true.
And also check what Stone wrote in Intro to Debate.
Oh, poisoning the well is a fallacy?
Apparently.
Informal fallacy, apparently, according to Wikipedia.
Yeah. Oh, cool. All right. Yeah. Okay, so you can call out poisoning of the well. Seems to be related to ad hom in a way. Okay. And there were three more fallacies that I run into a lot. One is begging the question. You're going to run into begging the question sometimes, especially with Christians. Christians beg the question, especially transcendental argument Christians, are what people call presuppers. Mr. Batman is a presupper. Darth Dawkins is a presupper. Their argument relies on question begging, which is a fallacy. And question begging is that their argument, one of the premises contains the conclusion. So like an example would be something like the universe is the universe is only intelligible because God exists. Premise 2, the universe is intelligible. Conclusion, God exists. If you formalize it as a hypothetical, some people would say that's not begging the question, but you can always formalize it as modus ponens like that without an if-then statement as part of it. But the whole point is that begging the question is just assuming your conclusion in one of your premises. You're going to run into that a lot, especially in religious debates. And it's really difficult for those debates because you'll sometimes get into like meta discussions and maybe they wouldn't be related to the proposition. So any questions on begging the question?
So it's basically the conclusion is in one of the premises.
Meanings of begging question.
Yeah, Stone, the conclusion is in one of the premises. What were you saying, Dantes?
Like I think they're like sometimes they're like different definitions for begging the question or different meanings in different contexts, and sometimes
yeah, maybe. This is the one I'm familiar with.
No, I think this is the one. It's a bit more formalized because I think it also like
like if someone just makes a presupposition, someone might say that's begging the question.
well, someone you could say like it's just circular. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The same.
Yeah. Circular reasoning is a type of begging the question. It can be. The other fallacy that you'll probably run into a lot is ad populum. You're going to run into this one a lot in like moral debates. Like something is true because everyone thinks it's true. It's like a popularity contest, but it's not always incorrect. Like if the thing being debated is like, what does everyone think tastes better, orange juice or strawberry juice? In that sense, appealing to popularity is appropriate. But if you're going to say something like, that veganism is not ethical or not a moral obligation because not everyone agrees with it. Well, that would be a type of appeal to popularity because it's not addressing the question about ethics there. It's just appealing to like, well, everyone does this. Or like, because everyone because everyone steals books online, then it's fine. Something like that. Because everyone does it, it's this appeal to popularity that makes it right. And those are sometimes fallacies, sometimes they're not. You have to be really careful about which one is which, but you're going to run into this appeal to popularity. And the last one, which is probably my favorite one, is the fallacy of composition. So a fallacy of composition is where someone is going to say what is true of a small part of a whole is true of the whole part. And this is actually what I think the Kalam cosmological argument relies on, is a fallacy of composition. So if all the parts in the universe had a beginning to exist, then the totality of all those things must have a beginning to exist. It's an example of individual parts having a start means that the whole has a start. That's a fallacy of composition. So you'll run into this sometimes. It's a really hard one to find. But so those are some general fallacies to like think about, look up. What were you going to say, Dantes?
Isn't this like really similar to like Hume's problem of induction?
Sorry, what?
It's like super similar to I'm not like it seems similar to like Hume's problem of induction.
Can you remind me what the problem is?
Yeah, well, oh God, how do I explain this? Basically, just just a classic problem with induction, where like just because something has been the case or it doesn't mean it will
Oh,
be in the
that's
future.
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of similar to that. Um, what's particular about the composition fallacy is about small things being applied to bigger things. But all we can
I
really
see.
say is about the small thing having that quality. So those are just a few fallacies that you're going to run across in a lot of debates. It's typically it's a good idea to just do a little bit of research on your own, trying to spot these. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I had. I just wanted to leave a little note at the end about etiquette, just some general things to think about as you're doing your debates. Always try to read your opponent's argument in the most charitable way possible. Don't strawman them, basically. Try to be really courteous to their arguments. Grant what you can, and really be clear about where you disagree and attack where you disagree. And that's part of the importance of always knowing what claim is on the table, and specifically like what claims your opponent has made and where you disagree, all of that. Be courteous, try to let people finish. I personally think that there are some moments where interruption is justified, but not everyone agrees with me there. Just be very careful when you do it, because it will typically escalate. Like if you interrupt someone, they're going to feel like now they have the right to interrupt, and then more interruptions will happen. So there's a little bit of mindfulness that you'll have to have in situations like that. Like if you're going to interrupt someone, make sure it's justified. Like say they're straw manning you, for example. Maybe that would be a good reason to interrupt. Like, no, actually, that's not my view. Hold on, that's not my view. Let me explain it again. Blah blah. But be sure you know that it's being misrepresented. Yeah, I guess that's all I have for the introduction to debate.
Sure, one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe this is like a very low IQ comparison, but like when like some religious person goes with like, oh, like you're a materialist, so like, I mean, you're nothing more than the atoms that that you're composed of, or something. Maybe be like a composition fallacy, as if you're like you don't have a different property just because the property of an individual atom is this that. You're nothing more than
Oh, yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that would be like if their argument is something like, well, you're just an atom. There's nothing special there. You're just the qualities of the atom. Yeah, that does sound like a fallacy of composition a bit to me. Maybe in a more formal sense, it wouldn't be. Maybe it would have to be like written out as an argument for it to be a fallacy. But I'm fine calling that a fallacy of composition. Like they're saying taking something true as this little part and saying it's true of your whole being. That seems like a good candidate to me.
I see. Cool. Yeah, I thought the same.
Yeah. Cool. Well, so this class has just been a really broad, general overview of debates with a focus on like picking out claims that people made and seeing how they're relevant to the topic at hand. We only got through just a debate between Trump and Hillary. So for the next debate event, what do you guys want to talk about? Would you like to have a class on just logical fallacies? Would you like to have a class on like building hypotheticals and reductios? Like maybe we could do a class on these famous thought experiments other philosophers have used and how they can be helpful in debates. Are there any things you guys would like to go over about debate that I haven't mentioned?
Maybe like just a couple things like seeking clarity and also like in some cases being agnostic about an argument's premise instead of just negating it, just stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. I think that would fit well with what we did today. Like, it's totally fine for you to say like I'm agnostic on a position, especially if it's not totally relevant to the argument. Being agnostic is fine. And yeah, always ask for clarity. Always ask like, what do you mean by that? What exactly is this? What is it? What exactly is this referring to? All of that. Yeah, those are good points.
I would personally like maybe something more like vocabulary building. So like
Uh-huh.
it would be a contradiction, maybe laws of thoughts, or something like what is a performative contradiction, category error, or like hypocrisy, like
Sure.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like a vocab class. That could be cool.
You know?
Yeah, I second that.
Okay. Yeah, so next week we could go over like the debate lexicon.
Sure.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming to the first intro to debate event, and we'll do it probably the same time next week.
Thank you for your time, Arco. Seriously, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It's
I
really
feel bad that I
unfortunate.
didn't really interact. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. You first. You were talking first.
Oh no, I was just saying. Next time I'll be more attentive and won't be like distracted by life things.